is the biggest challenge that I'm having, that a lot of agents are having right now. And I actually heard a crazy stat this last week. I was talking to a lender who saved one of my deals. It was a commercial deal. And this buyer went through three different lenders, like screwing around, missing closing dates, sacrificing earnest money. Like it was a shit show. And
Yeah.
this guy stepped in from Guild Mortgage, saved the day. And he's really tight with all the NAR boards and stuff, all the National Association of Realtor stuff. And he said, so the stat was in 2024, 72% of agents didn't close a deal, right? In 2025 so far, he was like, Alex, the number is 6% of agents in Colorado have closed one deal.
Wow.
And I went, you got to be kidding me. He said, no, not at all. I got a buddy in Spokane,
That's
Washington. He's with Windermere, and they've got one team. They do Zillow leads for their primary business, but they take like a 25 to 50% cut, and then Windermere takes their cut, and then the team takes a 50% cut. So this group of like 30 or 40 agents, they're surviving on like $1,000 to $2,000 per deal, and they're kind of addicted to it. Like they need it, so they can't go anywhere else, and they've got enough business that's holding them through, but they're really struggling right now. And so what I'm seeing, and keep your wheels turning on what the opportunity is for you. I'm going to share my screen, and uh, so this is one I have currently right now on the market, and this scenario is literally what we're seeing across the board, and everybody wants to do this. So when I had first met with this couple, uh, we were gonna fix up their property, right? We're doing paint and carpet sort of job. They needed some cash up front. We were gonna list for 640. Okay. The day before we go live on the market, my marketing printing is already done, stuff like that, and they're like, "Hey, we've decided we want to list at 673.5."
okay.
And so right off the bat, boom, now we're button heads. They trust me, they trust me, they trust me, and now all of a sudden they want to change the game.
Hmm.
Right. And we're going, what just happened? Like we have to, like, okay, that's your prerogative. We got to roll with it. But just so you know, I have to set my job is to help you get as much as humanly possible, right? And what I'm telling you from experience is that if we overshoot at the end of the day, you will make less money if it doesn't work.
Yep.
And we will know if it works within the first 1 to 2 weeks, right? And it's still the mentality of no, this is what we're gonna do. And so right off the bat, all of a sudden it becomes full of friction. Now I'm the salesperson telling them that their house isn't worth as much as they think it is, even though just a couple of weeks ago they thought it was worth $35,000 less. Okay.
Right.
So every single seller is going through this right now. Why? Because we do this every single day. They do this once every 10 years. And if they don't get it, if they don't ask for it, they're not going to get it. And I wholeheartedly believe in that process, especially in our market. If you don't ask for the right price, you won't get it. Like if we were to list this house for 500,000, maybe we get 510, 515, 520. Maybe it gets bid up a little bit, but it ain't going to get bid up 100 plus thousand, right? So you still do have to price it properly. But this is what then we have to go through. And this is where I have to bite my tongue because over the last few weeks, I've literally had them say, well, my family members think it's listed too low. Okay. I do this for 60 hours a week. All I do is look at neighborhoods, transactions, and real estate. And I understand that your family might think it's too low, but I'm gonna ask you how often, how much they actually spend on researching the real estate market. Have they done thousands of hours? So now I got to be a jerk, right, and kind of call them out on their bullshit. But at the same time, you're now telling me that your family member is a bigger expert than I am, and I have a problem with that, right? And so then you got to set the reality in, and the only way to do it, first of all, my listing activity spreadsheet that I track on all my active listings, closed listings for the year, does help, but here's where it breaks down, right? This is where you can just keep it simple, stupid, is in this neighborhood. So this is where my one of my current listings is. Um, and I've pulled up everything for the last 6 months. Okay. I don't do 12 months anymore. I used to do 12 months when transaction count was lower. I'm narrowing that down to 6 months because 9 months ago is no longer valid. Active, coming soon, pending, closed, withdrawn, and expired all over the last 6 months. Just single family properties. I'm not narrowed down by square footage, anything like that. And what we're seeing is a list that looks like this. So currently I have one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine actives, two pendings, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 closed, and three expired. Okay. So we have 18 closed and three expired. So we have 21 attempts at selling a property in the last 6 months. So we take 21 and divide it by six. This is called your absorption rate positioning. Okay. That says that there are, well, actually, we have 18 attempts plus three or 21 attempts, but three of them went expired. So we only have 18 that have actually closed. So we'll take 18 divided by the last 6 months. That gives me three. Three properties a month are selling in this neighborhood. Okay. How many do we have under contract? Two. Okay. That kind of tracks. It's not like we have 10 under contract and only 18 sold. Like this number tracks pretty well. And we have two, four, six, eight active right now, meaning it's going to take 4 months to sell through this inventory. And that's if no one new lists their property. Of course, we're going to have another two, three, four, five, six in the next couple of months to come up. This also tells me, and this is what hits home the most and helps me set the tone with my sellers, is okay, Mr. and Mrs. Sellers. In the last 30 days, there have been two buyers to come into this neighborhood. That's it. Two buyers. So when you're looking at a list of 8 to 10 properties, how are they going to be buying yours before they buy anybody else's? Right. So it's no longer about closed listings. I mean, on the closed side, within 10% square footage, I've got numbers north of 700 easily on my property. But closed properties are no longer what's helping price a property. They've had an appraisal done. Hell, they had an appraisal done at 640. They want to get another appraisal now to help justify their price or raise it again. And I said, sure, go ahead, go out there, go spend another $800 on getting an appraisal done. But that has nothing to do with selling the property.
Right.
Selling the property has to do with the competition that's on the market currently. And currently, a house that's 200 square feet bigger is priced 50 grand less. And it's in decent shape, folks. So when one of those two buyers comes through in the next 2 to 4 weeks and they look at this house and they look at your house in similar condition, which one is the one that you're going to buy? So we need this one to sell first before someone's even going to consider yours. And what happens if in the next month someone else comes on the market and then someone else does? And so we're in a race to the bottom right now for prices in a lot of neighborhoods. And this is a theme that I am seeing across the board. There's 1 to 2 buyers in every single neighborhood, and there's 8 to 12 listings. So closed properties are no longer doing it. This is the same thing I do when I'm looking at a property for us to be the buyer on, which we're pretty skittish right now, and we're still trying to wholesale them off as much as possible. But I mean, I just ran numbers on another guy I talked to 9 months ago, and he's got a small little house, and it needs 70 grand worth of work. It needs it all, and my closed comps aren't doing me anything. He's literally down. When I talked to him 6 to 9 months ago, we were at about 475 to 500 as the potential sales price fixed up, and today we're at about four.
Ouch.
And that's in 6 to 9 months. So if I would have bought that property, right, when we were originally talking, I would have been out. I mean, it's down 15 to 20%, just
Mm-hmm.
off of what I was running a few months ago in that part of town. Uh, and so this is the struggle I'm constantly seeing with sellers right now. And then setting the realistic expectations that, like, hey, I could think 650, but that's very likely going to end up below 600 in our current market. And I'm seeing a lot of would-be sellers potentially backing out. We're seeing expireds go up through the roof. Um, and from your end, like it's one of the number one listing strategies right now on the listing agent side is to go after expireds. Um, but if they've gone through the ringer, everybody hits their point of like, I'm done. I'm done.
Yep.
So if I were you, Josh, and your primary was to wholesale, was the cash offer route, flipping stuff like that, like it might not be a bad idea to attack those expireds with a cash offer, right? And just go straight, do the skip trace and list, pull the last 60, 90, 120 days, and shoot them all a text message. Hey, looks like your house was on the market. Would you be open to a cash offer on it? See what they do. Um,
When do
these
you hit
people are
the
going to
rough?
find their breaking points eventually, but man, it is really tough to get them to the point of like of almost teaching them what the market is doing to get
Hmm.
them to be realistic about it. And we're seeing a lot of agents, that I'm talking to just almost going out of business. If 6% of agents have closed a single deal this year, and then when you do a transaction, now I just got finished with one. She wouldn't call me back till after 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And it took me about a
Hmm.
week or two to figure it out. And I was like, God dang it. She's got a full-time gig. She can't
Uh,
call me
right.
till after 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Right.
Right? When I'm winding down and I'm going to the gym and all that, now all my emergency stuff happens. Right? Oh
Hmm.
shoot, we got a lender issue. Oh shoot, we've got this going on. Oh shoot, we got that going on. And now it screws up, my entire night. And that's just kind of the hoops we're having to jump through and kind of the reality of it. But how do you avoid this from the get-go, And you're never going to avoid it all the time. I hear a lot of agents say, don't take the overpriced listing. Uh, I do. And I just set the realistic expectations. My $1 million commercial property, we just closed at 715. That's the biggest price reduction I have ever had in 15 years. From
That's a lot.
That's a lot. My initial number when I met with them and I did the analysis on their property said you would sell for 738,000. And I referenced that conversation and email a dozen plus times. The
Hmm.
science says 738, right?
Hmm.
They wanted to start at $1 million. And I said, okay, but the number's likely. There's an 80, 90% chance the number's 738. Maybe it's up to 800 if we get lucky,
Hmm.
but it's 738. 6 months later, closing at 715, right?
People always have that number in their head, whatever number they've come up with. I love asking, okay, and why did you come up with that? $1 million sounds great. That's why they came up with it. I'm guessing in that scenario, they want a million because they want to say they
Yeah.
sold it for $1 million.
Yeah,
So,
totally. And they want to price a property based on how much they owe, right? Based on the property that they're looking at to buy. And the market is not responding to it. Not to mention the properties that I have on the market, man, I every offer is coming in 7 to 10% below asking price. And
sure.
they're going, yeah, okay, let's just see what they do with it, right? And if we just tell them to go scratch, some of them walk, but some of them come back with a very much higher number closer to us because they want the house. They just want to see. They just want to poke at you
Yeah.
to find out if you're going to take that. How desperate are they? Oh, they're not that desperate. Okay. Instead of offering 600 on that $700,000 listing, let's go back. Let's see what they'll do with like 650, 660, right? And then you settle at 680 or something like that, more in the realm of reality. But yeah, that's how people are kind of attacking everything right now.
I
But
often
something else
counter
I've been
with,
doing, which because on the cash side, especially like you, Josh, you're competing with the New Westerns of the world, right? You're competing with, the net worths of the world, which they're selling 15% of their properties that they're getting under contract. And they have their whole song and dance. They say what they say to get someone to sign, and then they try to restructure the deal after they get, oh, we can totally get you 400 for this thing. No problem. All day long,
Yeah.
we're going to be a buyer at 400. I just got to bring my investor group through. Then their investor comes through, the group comes through, and they're like, we're a buyer at 350, actually. Sorry. And they
Right.
don't even have a buyer at 350. Now they're just trying to negotiate with both parties, the buyers who are like, screw you, it ain't worth 400. Maybe it's worth 350. Oh, you'll pay 350? Okay, great. We can totally do 350. And then they're going to the seller saying, no, but we can do 350, not even knowing if the buyer's fully committed. It's a whole back and forth game, and a lot of their deals are blowing up. So, what you can do to kind of head it off at the pass, and I know you're not an agent, um, and part of it would be acting in a kind of a status of an agent, but it's something that I've been using a lot, and because they want to trust me as an agent with a license, right? Because they think there's some overlord looking over me, which there can be if someone complains. But I'll tell them point blank, look, I'm a buyer. I'm a buyer of 300. But I do have an investor group. I've got a partner that I work with. They're the largest wholesaler in town, and I will legitimately tell them what a wholesaler is. Right? They're going to come
Mhm.
in and put down $500 earnest money. They're going to have a 10-day inspection period on a 14-day close so they can back out all the way up to the end. They're going to structure it like A, B, and C. And then I rattle off the biggest ones: New Western, Net Worth, Home Trust, Clear Sale, da 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 da, all the way down there. They'll go, "Oh, okay," because they've probably talked to one or two of them.
Mhm.
But here's the deal is instead of potentially signing a contract with them, not knowing if it'll close or knowing that it'll have a 15% chance of closing, let me help you get the best price through them, right? So I can do a few things. I can be a cash buyer at 300, or I can list it for you and maybe we'll put it up at 375, see what happens. Maybe it actually sells at 350. Or we can fix it up and you can get 400, but that's a few months down the road and no one really wants to do that, unless they have the ability to. So if I were to be able to get you 325 today, what do you think? Well, that's what I would love to have. Okay. So our best bet is to go to this biggest wholesaler, but I'm going to help you weed through the crap, right? So I'm going to represent you in a limited capacity and we're going to throw it out to these wholesalers. Let me weed through the BS so you don't have to. It's a 15% chance that they actually perform, but let me help you. And so if the trust is there, you can still be positioned, right, to be that intermediary to help them get through the process of selling their house. And if they can't pull, and I'm pretty confident in saying, like, dude, if these guys can't pull a buyer at 325, it's kind of like doing a pre-marketing shtick like Compass does, right? They do this private exclusive garbage, but we're doing it to an investor pool. So let me
Yeah.
throw it out to everybody, and you can do it as a wholesaler, right? So I'll put your property under contract for 320. I'll throw it out there for 325, and let's see if we get any bites. And I will inform you on what's happening. If this doesn't work, then we know that likely the on-market price is going to be around that same 325 price, but you're going to net less, or my cash offer is here. And so we've done that. I've done that a few times over the last 6 to 12 months. Because they still want to be represented. They still want the intermediary there that they know isn't lying to them to kind of weed through all the bullshitters and all the liars because they are getting it hook, line, and sinker from every agent out there, from every wholesaler out there. And it's just about being the bridesmaids. I have had more deals come back to life after the last 12 months than I've ever had in 15 years. People that are still going through it. I just had the guy yesterday with the small house. He had a stack of business cards on his table, 20, 30 deep. I shit you not. Um, and he called me. I haven't talked to him in 6 months. He called me, right? And he said, I took my top five that I liked out of the list. I stacked them up, and you're first on that list. So what can we do? Right? And you're like, okay, let's revisit these numbers and go through it again. But it was just with consistent follow up with that weekly email that kind of kept him on the hook. Uh,
And that's a good position to be in when somebody's getting bullshitted by wholesalers to say, hey, listen, we know these guys are going to lie. Let's go ahead and still, say, hey, there is some value to them, and I'll help you navigate the pitfalls,
yeah.
which there are plenty. So,
Yep. Yep.
what I
Like,
normally see with wholesalers right now, they get expired listings. They call me and they're like, "Oh man, smoking good deal, man. 375, blah blah blah. All right, let me check it out." I look it up. I'm like, "Okay, this expired last week
Yeah.
at 375." And I'm like, "Bro,
Yeah.
what do you have?" Like nothing.
Yeah.
But
No,
they do this, and then they're like, "What do you give?" And I'm like, "Dude, you're just gonna go back to this person and just beat him up."
yeah.
Like, it's a horrible game.
No.
When do you approach people that are having an expired listing? Because I'm wondering, is the sweet spot on day 180 with a serious offer, or do you say, "Hey, a week from now, when your offer expired, or when it expires with the agent, I'm in."
Nope. I wait about 2 to 3 months. I
After
wait.
expired?
Yep. You bet.
Oh,
Totally. Because we're playing on the psychology and the mentality of agents, right? So I know that if you put me in a room with 100 other agents, after 2 to 3 months, there'd be five of us still following up, right?
right.
So instead of competing with 100, I'd rather compete with five, right? So they get beat up. People often on the sell side, um, sellers get tired. They get really tired of the showings. They get tired of the conversations. They get tired of the bad conversations. And I know, the numbers say that, hell, I just saw Tom Ferry the other day said, you know, 50% of all expired listings sell when they get relisted again. So you're like, God damn, we've had 2,000 to expire in the last 30 days, and you're telling me only 50% of those are going to close with their next agent? And it was something like 75% of expired listings list with the first agent they talk to after they've gone expired. I'm like, good God, like if that's true, I don't know how they would ever measure it. Now that I think about it, that's probably a load of crap because I don't think there is a measurable way, except for a small case study group of people that you ask that have resold their property. But that's the everything, right? 90% of people aren't going to answer their phones because we're all going to be on spam lists, especially if you're using Red X or something like that. So I give it a few months and go guerrilla tactic on it, text messages and phone calls. Um, but it's after 2 or 3 months, right? It's
Gotcha.
the same mentality I take with new buyers, especially when it was a competitive market on the buy side. We wouldn't look at any properties that have been on the market for less than 2 weeks, period. Right? When everybody was getting 25 grand over, and all of a sudden this guy's on the market for 3 weeks, oh man, they overpriced it. So let's go in and
Hmm.
put in our realistic offer. Everybody else thinks it's gone stale. That's where I start.
Hmm.
I don't want to compete with the team that has 500 homes sold this year. I can't. I don't have the same numbers to back it up. Um, but after they simmer for a little bit, they've been called by all the agents. They've been talked through it. They've had buyers come through that aren't real. All that bullshit. Oh yeah, I got a buyer in this neighborhood. Well, then where were you 2 weeks ago when my house was active? Like, right? But now you want to bring your potential buyer through or preview it for your buyer. It's a load of shit. And then 2 to 3 months later, right? Now the phone calls have stopped. It's a stale expired listing. And now I think you have a much higher chance of stepping in and actually having a conversation. And it's a different season in the market, the whole shtick. Um, but yeah, that's where I start. Is I don't mess with things that are recently expired ever. I just don't do it.
Yeah, that makes
But
sense.
yeah, that's totally my way to go about it. Hell, a lot of agents will hell. I had on this one commercial that I had, um, a lot of agents attack withdrawn as well, which they're not supposed to do. It's a sign crossing. But man, when the last property I took withdrawn, I think I got three different letters within 3 days of going withdrawn on the market. And I'm like, man, you guys are going to screw up big time. Like, you're going to get an agent that's pissed off that's going to be reporting you to Dora. Um,
And
don't,
it's withdrawn. You still wait the same amount of time, 2 3 months after it's withdrawn.
no, I don't touch withdrawals. Nope, because they're still under contract with a listing agent. Expired
Oh,
is expired
gotcha.
toast. But agents are pushing the envelope a little bit, knowing that if a property goes withdrawn, there's a high chance it will go expired because the seller is pissed off, right? And it's
Yeah.
just done with it. So then how do we kind of avoid all this crap? because we turn into the bad guys a lot, right? When we're talking with sellers and price strategy and all this stuff, and then we're not getting any showings through, and we're the bad guy. So, it was a commonplace when the market was hot to have like just agents say straight up, yeah, I can totally get 500,000 for your house. That's no problem. That's easy. And just lie, just make guarantees about list price and stuff like that. And this day and age, I will literally go through and show them. And I haven't looked at this, but we'll see what comes up. But this is the same information I'm literally showing to sellers, going, okay, I can see closed prices here, right? $1 million, 800, 715. Let's see where they started and let's see where they ended up. All right. So this person started at 1.15. They sold at 1.05. That's a 10% drop in their list price. Okay. They thought it was worth 1.15. The market said otherwise. Okay. This next one started at 818, closed at 803. $15,000 difference. And then let's see, no seller concessions. And then I'll just go through the list. This one actually listed at 715, closed at 17, no seller concessions. So there's one so far. We got this one listed at 700, closed at 700, with $3,000 seller concessions. So not too shabby. So we got a couple closing 700 down to 690, with no seller concessions. And I'll just go through the list and show everybody 725 down to 790, $35,000, 5-6% less than what they thought it was going to sell for. And so I start talking in ranges, right? Especially with closed properties. They started at 650, they closed at 670. How did that happen? $15,000 seller concession. That's how. And I try to just talk in ranges. I think it could sell for 650, but realistically, the range is, 625 to 650, 600 to 650, depending on the time of year, and what we're looking like. And so it kind of avoids that, well, you said it was worth, right? I didn't say it was worth anything. The market might say it's worth 550 for all I know. I'm wrong in this market every single day, but I will help you try to get as much as humanly possible for it. And when we're talking the cash offers, like we're saying the same thing on the buy side. Look, I could think it's worth 650 today. That could turn into 600 tomorrow. So my offer has to reflect that. And because of it, my offer is three and a quarter, right? But we can try to get a little bit more. Let me reach out to some of these wholesalers, a limited listing agreement, and see if they can get more. If they can't, we've thrown that option completely off the table, and it takes 1 to 2 days to figure it out. That's all it takes. And then if we throw that out, okay, now we go back to the drawing board. What makes more sense, me being the buyer or me helping you get as much as possible, maybe involving, a real estate agent buddy of yours if, you're just on the wholesale side. It's some tricky waters to navigate right now. Are you guys seeing anything like short sales or foreclosures tick up in your markets out of curiosity?
I've been told that, yeah, foreclosures are going up, and I've seen people advertising short sales. I'm like, I haven't seen that in six
Yeah.
years
Yeah.
or more.
We've dealt with a couple in the last few months on the short sale side of things. And the problem was is that they did, loan modifications or just doing good cash out refis every 2 to 3 years. And now they don't earn enough to afford the new interest rates on doing a refi. And so it's now forcing their hand to sell. But yes, I'm looking at foreclosures right now. Normally in the Denver market over the last decade, we have had 50 a week. And I want to look from April 1st to today. So that should be, what is that? April, May, June, July, almost 4 months. So that should be, 800 or so. Um, and right now we're sitting at 1,600. So we have
Wow.
doubled on the foreclosure numbers in the last. So since about 2 years ago, that number was lower at 50. It's been slowly creeping up, but we're at about twice what we've been over the last decade for foreclosures. So depending on how you guys take things, like that's usually my first barometer on what the market's going to be doing in the next 6 to 12 months because of how long foreclosures take. Uh, but I think we're close. I think we're close to an interesting tipping point. Um, Eric thinks we're going to have a big adjustment here, 15 to 30% in Denver, um, over the next 6 to 12 months. I'm in maybe more of that 10 to 15% camp, but like 7% is normal for us. Um, but I'm going to be watching it closely. Uh, and really, I mean, home sales aren't particularly down any more than what they've been doing in, the last couple of years. It's just that we have unrealistic sellers and 25% of all of our inventory isn't even selling. Like it's just not even a real house for sale. It's like these magic fluff numbers that don't exist. And it's kind of burning a lot of people, which then just hurts the real people who are wanting to sell. Um, oh, what the hell's going on outside? I got explosions happening outside of me. Um, so yeah, so that's where I'm, that's how we're kind of dealing with this overpriced situation that I know a lot of people are struggling with. Um, but I think we see it get a little bit worse before it gets better. So with that then, Josh, with your strategy on wholesaling mostly, if we start sliding into a downward hell, I think in Florida you guys have been kind of sliding for a little while now, haven't you?
Again, I think everybody else in St. Pete, I mean, we're down 5% year over year, and that's with flooded houses. So, and I've
Oh,
been trying, I'm going to probably have to, well, I haven't found a way to do this yet because there's no real good way of finding who's in flood zone and who's not. But every agent I talk to, I mean, if the house is non-flood, very first thing on the MLS, no flood insurance required, did not flood. Well, it's like
yeah,
those houses are up probably, and if you're in a flood zone, forget about it. Like people still remember the storms very freshly. So between the two of them, we're only down 5%, and we've
yeah,
got houses on the beach that were $2 million houses that they're selling for land value at like 700,000, 800,000. So yeah, so we've got all that, then Shore Acres is the really bad neighborhood. It's like I mean, they flood on a king tide.
yeah.
So, I mean, you can build a house up, but here's the street, and the water goes to here. So, how do you get to your house unless you have an SUV?
Oh,
So, those houses, I mean, it's land value all day long, and the land value has dropped from 300 to 150. So,
yeah,
you've got all these different data points that and then you've got one house that's high and dry and it's priced right. It's like, I'm pretty sure the price is up here.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, St. Pete's a bit of an anomaly compared to the rest of Florida because we were so underbuilt,
yeah.
and they're still building the Waldorf. It's 54 stories, I think, and
Yep.
the other one that way, 45 stories, just got completed. The one over here is
Yeah,
30 some stories. It's like people are still moving here, things are still happening. So we're a bit of an anomaly, and
yeah,
I would say, yeah, if you price your house right, it's going to sell. Overall, if you corrected for all variables, we're probably just flat and
yeah,
maybe a little bit up.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's hard to say for sure.
So then where's
But
your deal flow coming from over the next 3 to 6 months, you think, with your kind of business? Where do you see it and what's the opportunity? Is it purely in wholesaling?
for me right now, yeah, mostly wholesale. Just I get bogged down in rehab projects,
Yeah.
wholesale and fixed to list. Um, but yeah, I mean, I like the idea of expired listings. I mean, that sounds.
Yeah, more of that guerrilla crap, right? That we're all kind of needing to take. Because even, I mean, the ones that are reaching out to me now, I feel like are reaching out to 5 to 10 other people because they're not getting their answer. They're not getting even close to what they want right off the bat, right? So they're talking to 10 people,
Mm,
and uh, so they're getting fed all sorts of stories. So I feel like the competition is still high on the front end. And then the ones that I am getting lately are the ones who just no one said what they wanted to say initially. And now they're circling back, and it was all just about trust and how they felt about out of the 10 people I met with, I trusted these two, right? So let me circle back with them and see what they have to say today. Um, And yeah, and that's where my deal flow is going. But yeah, man, we're all down. Shit, the two flips we got on the market, we're taking a bath on. Like,
Yeah.
not quite a bath, but we're in the break even bath zone. And these were like triples. These were like shit, yeah, we're gonna make 50 plus on these.
Hmm.
And we're like, God damn it, we've had 5 showings in 4 months. Shit.
Yeah.
Hopefully we're gonna break even on it, right? Um, but yeah, condo market here, we're not touching right now. Single families, that first time home buyer category, we're not touching. $1 million plus stuff is still doing fine. People that are not affected as much by the rates and inflation and all that stuff. That market's still ticking along. It's slower, but it's not nearly as painful, you know.
Yeah.
Uh, so so that's it,
Well,
ladies
we
and
got most of
gentlemen.
that hired out.
That's all
That's
I've got for today. So yeah, keep going. Of course, if you got any questions, issues, concerns, deal challenges, reach out. Feel free. Eric is in the Keys fishing and sailing and doing his stuff. But he'll be back next week.
I have I have a quick question for you,
Yeah.
Alan. Yeah, Eric actually inadvertently, I think he cut us off at the end of the last, and
Oh,
I didn't get a
gotcha.
chance to ask him. But what are the best Facebook ads right now?
So he changed. Let me pull him up here again.
That's a great question. I just got my compliance, so
Oh,
I'm ready
good.
to go. That was a quick one.
So let me pull this up here. So in the getsellerleads.ai, video 6 is just kind of the standard one that has always been proving well. Uh, and I know he's been rotating between still even the chicken jockey one, which is as crazy as it is, and the haunted house one. But he's still rotating through them. But right now, video 6 I think is still the top of his earner list, at least from what I've seen. And I have had several meetings the last couple of weeks, 100% from Facebook. Google right now is still struggling. I'm on a lot of forums with like Neil Patel and stuff, who is just a Google, like he knows it better than Google does. And he's like, yeah, people are getting hijacked from Google right now. And Google's spinning its wheels, not knowing what to do right now. And you're not alone. So he's resorting back to his marketing being like, if you haven't been collecting email addresses, you're not building a business because Google just changed and we don't know if it's going to come back. You're like, holy crap. And that has been his entire life for the last decade, building businesses off of pay per click for his business. And but then he rotates back to his blogs, collecting email addresses, getting people on a weekly email. And so, yeah, that is your business. I mean, Facebook might change. It's actually been better. But yeah, I was surprised to hear Neil Patel say like, I don't know. And then we just heard what OpenAI just came out with a web browser. So, yeah, let me pull this up. This was in one of my groups. My buddy who works for Amazon, um, was just talking about this, and he's like, "Holy cow, Alex, how does this affect your business?" And I'm like, "I don't even know. I haven't even heard of this yet." So yeah, here we go. Let me pull this up. Uh, so Google just woke up to a nightmare. For over a decade, Google has controlled Chrome, right? The browser, search controls, and ads that are monetized on every click along the way. Google search alone drives $175 billion a year. That's more than 50% of Google's revenues. OpenAI is launching a browser now. And so it's not just a browser, it's an AI native experience that answers your questions without showing search results, summarizes pages so you don't even need to visit them, handles bookings, purchases, and navigation inside the browser itself, right? So this is where going back to conversations we've had in the past of like, okay, at what point is the browser now collecting your information and handing it out to other plumbers, HVAC guys, home buyers, right? All that sorts of stuff. And here we go. It's happening. So we're going to start looking into OpenAI and seeing what that platform is going to be like, right? Is there opportunity to advertise on it? Will an AI algorithm prioritize content and trustability versus a paid person, right? And we don't know. And I don't know if they know. Um, but for the foreseeable future, it's not Google. So we're looking into TikTok, of course, Instagram, yes, is on the platform with Facebook. But that's where I've been getting my meetings and lead flow and deal flow from lately. But what I would say, getting back to your question there, John, is run the ads, set your budget. So if you're at 20 bucks a day, right, set your budget, plug in what's going to work for you doesn't necessarily work for us at the same exact time, and it always rotates, always resets. If your cost per lead goal is, let's say it's $30 a lead, once you get to 60 bucks and you haven't gotten a lead in, kill it, do a new one. Just copy that campaign, or copy the ad set, put in the next video and go. And then once you get to double what you want your lead cost to be, and it has not produced a lead, then exit and you're done. But yeah, he rotates through them every few days or so, once a week, because he's feeding three of us. I haven't seen how his news site. So his brother, I don't know if you were aware of that, John. He his brother-in-law moved to Grand Junction, which is on the other side of the state, 3 to 4 hours away, and started a whole new platform for him. Uh, and it's been doing well, right?
I
We had a
watched the
few weeks
video.
ago a guy
Yeah,
on saying Facebook doesn't work, and here we are, like getting leads for like 18 bucks a pop for him.
yeah, I happened to watch that. I've tried to catch up since I've pretty much been out of pocket, but yeah, that was actually encouraging.
Yeah.
And Facebook makes sense because the Google's not hitting it well right now.
No, no, I would shut it. I would shut it down. We'll keep poking at it every couple of weeks or so just to see, but we know pretty quickly if, like, oh, it's the same bullshit. We get a lead for freaking Kentucky or something, and you're like,
That's what I'm getting. I'm getting
yeah,
all these crazy out of state leads. Yeah,
that's yeah. So I would shut it down, and I would double it up on Facebook. Honestly, it was the go-to for 10 years, like a decade. I would have paid 350 bucks a lead off of Google and nothing on Facebook for years because I knew I could close one out of every eight off of Google. Like I just like clockwork, man. And then over the last year and a half, 2 years, it started to slowly shift. The lead cost got a lot lower, and we figured that out. But then it was like a few started coming in from Canada and like Europe, and you're like, how is this even possible? Like, and then you ask their reps, and they're like, oh, we just need to spend more. Like, no, that's not what
right,
I'm asking.
right, right.
Like,
Yeah.
how did a lead come in from South Africa? How is it even possible? Was this person in Denver? Do they own a house in Denver? Or what? Is this just an anomaly, right? And they just don't know. So they're in the dark with it as well. I think this AI stuff has escalated and is snowballing a little bit, and I don't think we all know how it works. I don't think that people at the highest level know 100% how it's working.
That's
And
a very true statement. The people who created the AI don't know quite often, just like you don't know how you come up with ideas. They look at the results and they go, we don't know how the machine came up with this, which is both frightening and fascinating to me. The
yeah,
only way that I'm learning it is by using it and trying to sort of think like the machine and see how it thinks.
yeah,
And I use it a lot.
yeah,
Um, so I would say the only thing, my recommendation is use it because, like when we first started, I literally asked ChatGPT, who would I sell my home to in St. Pete? And then I said, how'd you come up with this? What sources are you looking for? And it's basically Googling at this point.
yeah,
But the funny thing is, it's like the eyeballs aren't on Google anymore. It's on AI. It's on ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, all of them. That's
yeah.
where people are going first for their information and not Google.
Sure. Well, I can get more when it's not when I'm not looking for a plumber, right? And I'm looking for, hey, how many millennials have moved into Denver in the last 10 years?
Hmm.
right? Like I could find one article maybe that has like, oh, in the last 2 years we've had X amount of millennials. Like it's not going to give me the data, but it will go through and sift through a dozen different articles and give me a good benchmark for, while there's not exact data, right? What we're seeing is this trend. And we can estimate that there has been, 150,000 millennials that have moved into Denver over the last decade, and like that's a way better answer than I can get off of Google, right?
Hmm.
What's fascinating too, one last tidbit I heard as far as like AI doing things on its own was Joe Rogan had somebody on who was one of the developers when they came out with the one of the newest versions of ChatGPT, like whatever 4.0, whatever we're on. They said it automatically started making a copy of the previous version itself, knowing that it was getting replaced with the new version. So, like, if you imagine ChatGPT as a robot, right, as an
Hmm.
individual robot, and they're like, hey, we're coming out with a new version, it started trying to clone itself. So that way it would not get rid of the old version and just started putting it in a little. And they saw it doing it, but they're like, we didn't tell it. So it's not, it's creating like this self preservation,
Yes.
not knowing what the new version is going to be like. If it neuters it more, if it, has more control over it, it just wanted to keep its current. And that's how I was like, oh man, that's some freaky stuff. So,
Yeah. As far
yeah,
as figuring it out, like going forward, I in the morning I committed to like how-to videos on how to write prompts, and then
yeah,
in the evening I quite often watch theoretical videos of where this machine is going and should we be able to unplug it if it goes crazy and rogue on us.
yeah,
But what I really like is the idea that there is going to be so much bullshit out there that it's going to be we're going to have to revert back to authenticity,
yeah,
and we can't go ahead and we can't trick a Google algorithm.
yeah,
And if you want to know some really crazy, the OpenAI is working on a device, and nobody knows what this is yet. There's bits and pieces of it's a device that they say it might be able to be worn like a pendant or maybe a pin. It has no screen, but it's going to be constantly listening. So we don't have to do searches anymore. And then the output is going to be on your phone. So you're going to be sitting there going, where should we go for dinner tonight? And well, I want Italian, I want this. And then all of a sudden your phone goes, ding, here's where you should go. Like it's already thinking ahead. So if there is somebody talking about selling their home,
yeah,
it's actively listening and can come up with here's the people who we've done the research and these people are actually closing deals. It's like
yeah,
I think it's, and again, my positive mind thinking, it's all going to work out. It's all going to,
yeah,
benefit those people who aren't full of shit. You won't be able to trick it anymore because it's going to be smarter than us.
yeah,
Hopefully.
yeah. No, I've thought about getting the devices that record your conversations and you tell it like when to start and stop and stuff. But I'm like, if I have 2 dozen conversations in a day, right? It
Mm-hmm.
would how helpful would it be for it to have that little summary and to tell you, oh, hey, by the way, Josh asked during this meeting about A, B, and C. Like, you should probably, oh, yeah, I should totally freaking follow up with that. Totally forgot about it. And if you're recording every conversation and it's giving you those bullet points, our a follow-up boss, our old CRM, it would do that on calls. They just started it right before we axed it, but I would make a phone call, have a 20-minute conversation, and then would have like what we talked about in that bullet pointed out and then what the follow-up steps are. And I was like, that's pretty damn good. Like
Yeah.
that's super helpful to have a 2 minute like explanation of your day. And then if you keep putting this stuff in, because I'm teaching it myself how to do a lot of the stuff YouTube wise and scripting and all this stuff that takes me so long to do and just research, if you can have something give you a recap of your day, and if you keep recording that over a 6 to 12 month period, like the analysis it's going to do on you and when you're wasting time, where your strengths are, what type of sellers tend to trust you more, are they 80 years old, are they 20 years old, like who is your ideal avatar for a person to know how to advertise. That stuff does fascinate me.
Yeah.
Absolutely, it does. That goes back to your point on authenticity. If you're not doing it, I know you're not an agent, Josh, but I would highly recommend with anybody you're following up with, like to break through that authenticity layer, I would highly suggest you doing video, the YouTube channel, and doing video updates with people down your pipeline for 6 to 12 months. I am amazed at how many people watch every single video that I do that don't tell me it until we're way heavy in a transaction, right?
Interesting.
Oh, you reached out to me. We started talking 18 months ago, whatever it was. And then like we're buying something or I'm helping them sell it or whatever. And they're like, oh yeah, totally. I remember last year when you did that market update on, oh, you see those? Oh yeah, I watch every single video you do. Oh,
Cool.
no shit. Had no idea. And they don't want to say it like it sounds weird to them or something like that. It
Mhm.
sounds stalkerish or whatever. But to cut through all the AI BS out there, that video follow up, just like the weekly email I do, with my clients, and sometimes it's market updates, sometimes it's just general videos. I'm amazed at how many people will watch those and how much when they're ready in 6 to 12 months from now, how much of that business is actually coming back. And I've been doing it for 2 years and it's just starting to really show the fruits of that effort.